Welcome to the Mac Live for the part-time students of the 2023 Advanced Marketing and Communications Diploma. These 10 students have spent the last 18 months crafting and creating a new set of skills, and this presentation is one of the tasks that they must complete at the end of their journey. These 10 students have been on an intensive marketing and advertising journey, and these presentations give them the opportunity to present themselves and the topics that are of importance and interest to them. You'll see a range of interesting topics over the next hour, including AI in marketing, the challenge of overconsumption, transformational marketing, and navigating change. Our first presentation is from Michelle Lafleur, a media planner by profession who is fascinated by consumer behavior and presents an insightful talk today titled Marketing to Procrastinators.
Hi there. I hope that you are doing fantastic. And I also hope that before you sat down to watch this video, that you completed at least a few of the things that you had on your to-do list that you so said you would. Allow me, if you will, to spend a few minutes sharing some insight into the mind and behaviors of procrastinators. So essentially, you. So, whether we'd like to believe it or not, or accept it or not, every one of us are procrastinators. But not everyone is a procrastinator, or so says Joseph Ferrari. So, now that we've established that we are all procrastinators to some degree, I'd like to think of there being two types of procrastinators. Firstly, chronic procrastinators. Also, don't mind how many times I say procrastinators. That's the point of this, okay? So, Ferrari states that 20% of all adults are procrastinators, or in this case, chronic procrastinators. These are people who essentially procrastinate in every area of their lives, being social, relationships, workplace, etc. And I find myself guilty of being a chronic procrastinator. I procrastinated filming this TED Talk styled Mac Live about marketing to procrastinators by watching a TED Talk about procrastination. I know, crazy, right? The second type of procrastinator are people I'd like to refer to as casual procrastinators. Ferrari says these are roughly 80% of all adults. They procrastinate, however, not in many things. These are essentially people who cruise towards deadlines and submit things weeks before the time. These are also people who might delay going to the gym by 30 minutes or delay a grocery store visit because they don't quite need anything right now. So you can now decide whether you'd like to categorize yourself as a chronic procrastinator or a casual procrastinator. There is, however, a third type of procrastinator, and that is the purchase procrastinator. Dennis Darby defines consumer procrastination as the chronic and conscious tendency to slow down or hold down a planned purchase. He further dissects consumer procrastination into two parts. So, the two dimensions in which Dennis Darby dissects consumer procrastination into is indecision and avoidance. Indecision simply being the inability to decide. So he bases this off of the action control theory, which proposes that an individual's actions is a consequence of their state. So being in a state of panic or distress hinders one's ability to decide. On the other end, avoidance, he bases off of the conflict decision theory. This simply means that an individual would avoid or delay a purchase or a decision due to conflict of interest or belief. A simple example would be buying lunch for the marketing team on a Friday. Your conflict of interest would delay that decision or divert the decision to someone else. So now that we understand the types of procrastinators, their mind and their behaviors, the big question then remains, especially to marketers, is how can businesses and brands leverage and capitalize off of procrastinators. And here's how. So, the first recommendation as to how brands can market to procrastinators is by creating urgency. Procrastinators respond to deadlines and urgency. So, ways to go about this is through implementing countdown timers. This is particularly beneficial on e commerce platforms, allowing consumers to only hold things within their cart for a few minutes, almost forcing them to check out or run the risk of losing an item. Others include limited offers, and Anton Rowdy proposes the idea of false scarcity. This is communicating limited stock, again, nudging people to add to cart and check out as fast as possible to avoid the risk of losing a so desired item. Other recommendations include flash sales and reminder notifications. We live in a digital world. People's attention spans are shorter and distractions are a lot higher. So, the possibility of a procrastinator being distracted throughout their journey is quite high. So, reminding procrastinators or consumers to check out would be greatly beneficial. Think about when was the last time you shopped Checker 6060 or Woolies Dash or bought clothing from Superblist or a household item from Takealot because you simply did not want to get off of your couch and go to the store. Convenience, right? So, the second recommendation to marketing to procrastinators is to carefully consider how your brand or product offers convenience to consumers. And then, of course, to effectively communicate this. Communicating through using your social media platforms or every platform that you can utilize. And then making sure that your consumer journey is seamless. I'd like to think of convenience as a gateway to getting things done. It allows the procrastinator to procrastinate while still ticking things off of their to do list. The third recommendation to marketing to procrastinators and capitalizing off of procrastination is to upweight digital ad spend. As I've mentioned, we live in a digital world where there are more cell phones than toilets, and almost everyone has access to social media or the internet. A recent study shows that the average person spends 4 hours and 37 minutes on their phone every day. Ironically, screen time is higher during the week than over the weekend. Why? Procrastination. People spend 57% of their time procrastinating online. So why not have your brand play in that space and stand out? Upweighting digital ad spend could look different to each brand and business. However, a few suggestions to consider is retargeting or implementing a retargeting strategy to introduce influencer marketing to your social media campaigns and to apply the rule of seven. Retargeting is like rekindling a relationship. It is to reintroduce or to remind consumers of a prior interest they took into your brand or your business. Influencer marketing, I believe, plays such a significant role in social media marketing, with 87% of consumers admitting to buying a product influencers recommend or recommended by an influencer. And I am guilty. I fall part of the 87%. Please tell me you do too. The rule of seven is also what I believe is one of the most important things to consider in any digital campaign, and this is frequency. The rule of seven essentially states that a consumer must see an ad at least 7 times in order to consider purchasing a product or engaging in your brand. So that brings me to my final recommendation on how brands can set the mood in order to effectively market to procrastinators. I'm sure many brands and marketers are aware, but a lecturer at the Durham University confirms that people procrastinate because of poor mood management. However, there's a silver lining. The good news is that brands have the power and the ability to influence people's moods. This can be done through clever, emotive communications across the platforms, as well as building strong connections with their consumers. And as we know, strong connections can influence even the most chronic procrastinators. So, procrastinators can in fact benefit businesses. And these are just some of the ways that brands could effectively market to procrastinators. Thank you.
Well done, Michelle. Our next presentation is from our resident expert in all things AI, as well as the retail clothing environment, having just launched 17 new stores in just 60 days. Please welcome Zakir Randari with his presentation titled Why He Chose AI in Marketing, Transforming Brands for a Better Future.
Good day all, my name is Zakir and I'm a part-time Mac student at Red and Yellow. I'm excited to take you on a journey through the transformative power of AI in the marketing world. My topic for discussion today is AI in the marketing world, transforming brands for a better future. The AI revolution in marketing. AI is revolutionizing the marketing landscape by providing deep data analysis and customer insights. According to a report by McKinsey, companies that leverage AI in the marketing can see a 10 to 20% increase in sales and a 20 to 30% reduction in marketing costs. AI allows us to personalize experiences at scale, tailoring interactions for each individual consumer. Predictive analytics help us make better decisions, ensuring our strategies are always on point or one step ahead. For example, Netflix uses AI to recommend shows and movies, resulting in an 80% of watched content coming from these recommendations. Enhancing creativity and innovation. AI is not just about numbers and data. It's also a powerful tool for creativity. From generating content to designing visuals, AI acts as a creative catalyst. Tools like Adobe Sensei and Canva AI features help marketers create stunning visuals and engaging content quickly and efficiently. AI augments our creativity, making us more innovative. For instance, Lexus used AI to create an ad that was so highly effective emotionally that it had a 35% recall. Efficiency and precision. One of the biggest advantages of AI is its ability to streamline marketing efforts. By automating repetitive tasks, we save valuable time and resources. AI-powered chatbots, for example, can handle customer queries 24/7, improving customer satisfaction and freeing up human agents for more complex tasks. AI also ensures precision targeting, helping us reach the right audience at the right time. Real-time adjustments and optimization keep our campaigns effective and relevant. According to a study by Salesforce, 51% of marketers already have been using AI to improve their targeting as well as personalization efforts. The human touch, this is what everybody's scared about. AI replacing jobs, etc. Despite AI's capabilities, the human touch remains irreplaceable. Soft skills like conflict resolution, empathy, and creativity are more important than ever. AI enhances our abilities, allowing us to focus on what we do best. Like we've learned at Red and Yellow, human skills set us apart from robots. For example, while AI can analyze data to identify trends, it takes human creativity and empathy to craft a compelling story that resonates with the target audience. This synergy between AI and human skills is what will drive the future of marketing. AI offers immense benefits. for the marketing world. It enhances our creativity, improves efficiency, and ensures precision in our marketing. The future of marketing lies in the synergy between AI and human skills. Let's embrace this transformation in AI, our marketing strategies, and create impactful brand experiences. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Let's continue to think, create, deliver, and inspire as we navigate this exciting future of AI in marketing. Thank you.
Well done, Zach. Our next presenter has a personal and very heartwarming story to share. Sydney Maheri shares her journey of medical challenges as a child, all the way through to her outstanding achievements as a marketer, with a talk that shows how embracing faith and moving from transactional to transformational marketing is a formula for building enduring legacies.
I wasn't supposed to be here. I wasn't supposed to be speaking to you today. In fact, by most definitions, I wasn't supposed to be successful at all. When I was born, I was diagnosed with a severe hearing disability, the kind that can't be operated, the kind that sends a child to school for deaf children. The doctors told my parents to adjust their expectations for my future, that there was little hope that I could retain my hearing in the years to come. They said I wouldn't be able to attend a regular school, that I would struggle too much academically. And university? Out of the question. And what about sports? Forget it, they said. My balance and motor neuron skills would never allow for it. So faced with this stark reality, my parents made a decision that defied medical logic. They turned to faith. They believed desperately, but with absolute certainty, that there was a purpose for me beyond the binding constraints of my diagnosis. Their faith didn't alter my physical challenges, but it redefined what was possible for me. Faith transformed what was supposed to be a limiting transaction with fate into a transformative journey of faith and purpose. I did end up going to a regular school. I did end up playing every sport known to mankind. And I didn't only survive as if scraping through, I excelled in every sphere of life. I did end up going to university. I did end up excelling there too, despite prophecies that I would never see the light of day. And today I'm here. Not because the doctors were wrong, but because faith transformed the predestined terms of my life. So without further ado, I want to introduce my topic of faith as the ancient paradigm of success, or as I like to call it, the grassroots foundation to all inspiration, creation, growth, and delivery. And as I've learned throughout my studies at Red and Yellow, that same power of faith can inspire and transform brands. Purpose-driven marketing spearheaded by people of faith has the power to catapult a brand's success by shifting the gears from transactional marketing to transformational marketing. And just as faith transformed my own limitations, transformational marketing goes beyond the transactional, beyond simply selling products or making numbers. Instead, it's about creating purpose-driven connections that inspire, foster creativity, drive sustainable growth, and help us deliver lasting impact. And this shift is crucial, especially as more consumers seek meaning and purpose in their purchases. Studies show that 63% of consumers now prefer to purchase from companies that share their value system. One of the values mentioned the most throughout this trial was faith. Today's consumers are looking for brands that they can champion, brands that are outspoken in their beliefs and seek to make a transformative change in social spheres. Purpose-driven marketing is no longer a strategy, it's an expectation. Just as faith provided a foundation of resilience and purpose in my own life, purpose-driven marketing can build resilient, lasting brands. The first leg of our marketing journey when shifting from transactional to transformational marketing is titled Inspire. And I believe that faith is the spark for purpose-driven inspiration. Faith has the power to inspire us. It helps us see beyond our immediate circumstances. And isn't that what marketing is meant to do as well? To inspire us and help us see beyond the current pain points and strive towards a harmonious solution? At Red and Yellow, I've learned that marketing isn't only about products and sales. It's about inspiring people with the vision that they want to buy into and be a part of. Purpose-driven brands, just like people of faith, offer a sense of hope and aspiration, a bigger picture that reminds us of purpose and not just price. Research from the American Psychological Association shows that 71% of people who don't regularly engage in faith-based practices reported higher levels of emotional instability and a lack of resilience during challenging times. As a solution, faith offers hope, strength, and a sense of purpose that transcends these obstacles. Brands too have the power to inspire by embracing purpose-driven marketing that resonates with their audiences on a deeper level. Patagonia is an inspiring example hereof. Their commitment to environmental sustainability isn't just a branding decision, it's a belief that guides every choice that they make. Their Don't Buy This Jacket campaign urged customers to think about their environmental impact, inspiring a movement of mindful consumption. And the result? Patagonia's sales increased by 30% in the following year. Now, why would we think this happened? It's because of faith. Patagonia put their faith in the people and believed that people would think about their consumption practices when they knew the truth behind the purpose. The second leg of our journey in shifting from transactional to transformational marketing is titled Create. And I believe that faith is the catalyst for purpose and innovation when creating. Why? Because faith fuels creativity by encouraging us to dream bigger and to innovate with courage. Let's consider the story of Forever 21 founders Jin Sook and Duwan Chang. Driven by their Christian faith, they took creative risks to build a brand that stood out in a very saturated market. Their faith gave them resilience and a boldness that allowed them to create something unique in the fashion industry, building an empire out of a very small business. This story shows that faith-fueled creativity isn't about playing it safe. It's about thinking outside the box with confidence. To support this argument, a study published by the Journal of Happiness Studies found that individuals with a strong sense of faith reported 20% higher levels of life satisfaction and creativity. When we believe in something greater than ourselves, we are free to explore new ideas and push boundaries boldly and confidently. In my role as a marketing manager, I've applied this concept by focusing on purpose-driven creativity. Throughout my coursework in Agile Marketing at Red and Yellow, I also learned the importance of adapting quickly and innovating fearlessly. Inspired by a faith-driven mindset, I sought not only to build a career, but to create a mindset and value system that fosters connection, productivity, and growth. Faith-inspired creativity helps us take risks for a higher purpose. And in doing so, it leads to innovations that are both bold and meaningful to businesses and people. The third leg of our journey is titled Grow. And I believe that faith is the foundation for purpose-driven growth. Why? Because faith also lays a foundation for growth that is authentic and sustainable. At Red and Yellow, I've learned that growth is most impactful when it's rooted in purpose. For my own career, that means crafting business and marketing solutions that value connection, empowerment, and community. Faith-inspired growth isn't about achieving a number. It's about making a lasting impact that resonates with people on a much deeper level. Studies from the Pew Research Center show that highly religious adults who are faith-driven are 33% more likely to fall within the upper percentile income bracket. This may point to the way that faith-driven values like discipline, community support, and resilience can foster personal innovation and grit that also drives financial growth. Faith doesn't just inspire and ignite creativity. It also fosters a kind of growth that transcends mere financial success. I've recently been fascinated by the stories of entrepreneurs who have achieved seemingly impossible heights, especially as seen from the insights from a viral interviewer known as the School of Hard Knocks. On TikTok, he's gained attention for asking millionaires and billionaires a simple yet profound question. What does faith mean to you? Interestingly, almost every one of these ultra-successful individuals, people who seem to have conquered the world, attribute their success to faith. Time and again, they echo the same sentiment. Faith is everything. They often say, I wouldn't be where I am today without God. For these individuals, faith isn't just a personal belief. It's the foundation that helped them persevere, make bold decisions, and pursue their goals with conviction. These stories remind me that faith-driven growth is about more than material wealth. It's about resilience, discipline, and staying grounded in values that guide decisions and shape one's legacy. Just as these entrepreneurs relied on faith to navigate their journeys, brands that cultivate a purpose beyond profit often find themselves on a path to sustainable and meaningful growth.
You believe in God? I more than believe in God. I trust God.
How important has faith been for you throughout your career?
It's the most important thing in my life.
Build that relationship and build that trust in God. Maybe to speak to those people that
I received Christ as my Savior when I was 16 years old. I started reading the Bible when I was 17. Every success principle that I learned, the very first thing that I do is I go back and look at Scripture and see if it lines up. If it does, I'll follow it. If it doesn't, I did.
Coming on to the last leg of our marketing journey, titled Deliver, I believe that faith is the driver to following through on purpose. Why? Because faith strengthens our ability to deliver on our promises. When we operate with a strong sense of purpose, we are more likely to stay dedicated, to ensure quality, and to follow through even in the face of trials and tribulations. In my role as a marketing manager and mentor, I aim to deliver on the promise of providing supportive workspaces that empower people. Consistency and commitment are essential, and they create the foundation of trust that brands also need to thrive. At Red and Yellow, I've learned that delivering on purpose fosters loyalty. People stay with brands that they believe in and that consistently show up for them. To support this argument, Harvard Business Review notes that entrepreneurs who actively practice faith-based values are more likely to pursue long-term goals and show commitment to excellence. This persistence, rooted in faith, is what distinguishes fleeting success from a lasting legacy. Let's take Truett Cathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A, for example. He exemplifies this principle as a faith-driven entrepreneur, having built his company on unwavering Christian principles. Despite the fast food industry's focus on profits, Cathy prioritized faith-driven decisions, such as closing all Chick-fil-A locations on Sundays. This commitment didn't even hinder the brand. Instead, Chick-fil-A consistently leads the industry in annual sales per unit and customer satisfaction. Cathy's focus on values over transactions created a loyal customer base and a reputation for excellence in service and quality. His legacy shows how faith and dedication to purpose can drive long-term success, making Chick-fil-A a standout brand in the industry. In reflecting on everything we've discussed in this conversation, this marketing journey has unwittingly revealed a powerful formula, a feedback loop of sorts, in which faith fuels each stage, moving us from transactional to transformational marketing and guiding purpose-driven success. For example, we start off with Inspire, where faith acts as the spark. Here, faith ignites a vision that transcends simple transactions and sparks a brand's purpose, connecting with audiences on a much deeper level. Then we move on to Create, where faith is the catalyst, fueling bold ideas, purpose-driven innovation, and the creativity needed to make that vision a reality. In the third leg, we move on to Grow, where faith becomes the foundation, anchoring sustainable long-term progress with resilience, discipline, and values that support purpose-driven growth. It's about building a brand that doesn't just chase short-term gains, but instead grows through loyalty, impact, and integrity. And then finally, we reach Deliver, where faith serves as the driver, the force that pushes us to follow through on our promises, to show up consistently, and to build trust with our audiences. It's here that we see the power of purpose-driven brands, those that don't just sell, but deliver meaning and loyalty, creating legacies that endure. And then the cycle begins again, each stage feeding into the next. Inspire, create, grow, deliver, transforming brands and lives from mere transactions into stories of purpose and impact. This formula is not just for marketing. It's a powerful framework for life and leadership. Faith, as we've seen, doesn't merely guide us. It elevates us, enabling brands and individuals to inspire, create, grow, and deliver in ways that make a lasting impact. So as you move forward in building brands, leading teams, or pursuing personal goals, remember that faith can be the spark, the catalyst, the foundation, and the driver. Let it guide you through each cycle, transforming not just your business, but also your legacy. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Sydney. Next, we have Nondumiso Makanya. She is a passionate creative marketer, originally from Pretoria, and now shaking up the fashion world in Cape Town. Her talk is about overconsumption and invites you to explore the ripple effects of our buying habits and asks us all to explore our thoughts on those buying habits.
Overconsumption. It's a word we hear a lot these days, often spoken with a hint of disapproval and concern. But what does it really mean in the grander scheme of things? And more importantly, how did we get here? I've been pondering on this a lot lately. You see, as a budding marketer with a fresh lens on the fashion retail world, I'm constantly bombarded with strategies aimed to making consumers desire, want, and buy more. But in the age where everything is saturated, what does this mean for all of us? And what role does marketing play in the grand orchestration of want or craving? So for my Mac Live presentation, let's explore the complexities of consumption, exploring its roots in globalization, its entanglement with marketing, and the profound impact it has on our world and psyche. Chapter 1: Overconsumption, the environmental toll and global consequences. Let's start with the big picture, Mother Earth. It's no secret that we're taking more from the planet than we can give back. In fact, the Global Footprint Network reports that we're currently using up about 1.75 of Earth's worth of resources each year, which is a bit of a problem considering we only have one. The fashion industry alone is a primary culprit, contributing to 10% of global carbon emissions and creating massive textile waste. Someone working in the retail space, I'm acutely aware of how the cycle works. Brands churn out collections faster than you can say spring, summer sale. Consumers buy more than they need, and at the end of the season, what's left over is either discounted, dumped, or destroyed. It's a relentless loop of production and waste. But how did we get to a point where it's normal to buy clothes we'll only wear a handful of times? Here's where globalization comes in. The interconnectedness of the world has made it possible for companies to produce goods at lower costs by outsourcing manufacturing to countries with cheaper labor. This has in turn made products more affordable and available to a global audience, feeding into the cycle of consumption. But what is the downside? In countries like Bangladesh and China, rivers are dyed the colors of the season as chemical-laden wastewater from textile factories is dumped without treatment. The cost of our affordable fashion is borne by people and ecosystems in these regions. What we gain in trendy clothes and cheap goods, we lose in clean water, air, and soil. Overconsumption then isn't just an issue of excess, it's an issue of inequality and environmental injustice. Chapter 2: The role of marketing in overconsumption. More, more, more. As someone freshly steeped in the art of persuasion, I find myself both fascinated and a bit unnerved by the power we wield. Marketing is the engine that keeps the wheels of overconsumption spinning, whether through the allure of a sleek ad campaign and the emotional tug of a well-placed influencer endorsement, or the urgency created by a limited time offer. The goal is the same: to make people buy, and it works every time. Take the fashion industry again as an example. Seasonal trends are no longer defined by 4 seasons, but by micro seasons, with new must-have items hitting stores almost weekly. Marketers are brilliant at creating a sense of scarcity and urgency that makes people feel like they'll miss out if they don't act now. That's a psychological trick marketers use to keep you shopping and scrolling. Before you know it, you've gone from just browsing to checking out a full cart of clothes you haven't planned on buying. But it's not just fashion. Marketing is a pervasive force across all industries: technology, food, entertainment, you name it. We're constantly being sold the idea of happiness, fulfillment, and even self-worth can all be found in the next purchase. The latest smartphone promises to make your life more connected. The new car model will turn heads. The message is clear. If you want to be happy, successful, and admired, you need to consume. Chapter 3: Globalization and overconsumption. Feeding the beast. If marketing is the engine of overconsumption, globalization is the fuel. Globalization has made it possible for brands to reach audiences across the world, creating a homogenized culture of consumption where people in New York, Paris, Singapore, and Cape Town all aspire to own the same branded products. The rise of TikTok Shop, as well as other omni-channel platforms like Takealot, Amazon, Alibaba, Mr. Price, Zara, Pretty Little Thing, Boohoo, H&M, Cotton On, Temu, and our infamous favorite, Shein, has made the act of consumption almost frictionless. You can order anything from anywhere and have it delivered to your doorstep within days, sometimes hours. The sheer convenience of this setup encourages more consumption. Why wait to buy something in store when you can have it within a single click? With companies now leveraging data analytics to personalize marketing messages, we're targeted with products that seem to be tailor-made for us, further blurring the line between a need and want. However, globalization also means that the negative impacts of overconsumption are no longer confined to one region. The ecological footprint of a product bought in the United States might include raw materials sourced from Africa, assembled in Asia, and then shipped across the Pacific. This global supply chain leads to significant carbon emissions and resource depletion at every stage. According to Weidman, international trade now accounts for 30% of the world's carbon emissions. So when we talk about overconsumption, we're not talking about what we buy and throw away. We're talking about an entire system that is consuming the world's resources at an alarming rate. Chapter 4, the psychological impact. Are we happier? The whole purpose of marketing is to make people want things they don't need, to desire products that will supposedly enhance their lives. But does all this consumption actually make us happier? Unfortunately, research suggests otherwise. The constant bombardment of advertisements and marketing messages can create a sense of inadequacy and dissatisfaction. It is as if we're being told you're not complete until you buy this product. And so we buy it, hoping it will fill this nagging void. But what happens when that high of purchasing fades? That void, rather than being filled, seems to grow larger. We're left chasing the next product, the next trend, the next fleeting moment of satisfaction. Tim Kaiser, in his book, The High Price of Materialism, discusses how materialistic values and the constant pursuit of more are associated with the lower levels of well-being and higher levels of anxiety and depression. This shift can lead to a cycle of striving and consuming where no amount of material goods can provide the deeper sense of fulfillment we really are searching for. Here's where things get tricky. Marketing knows this. The more we feel inadequate or unhappy, the more likely we are to consume. One area where I see this impact most acutely is in the fashion industry. As a marketer, I've been a part of conversations that revolve around creating the perfect narrative for a product, whether it's making a handbag appear as a symbol of power and status, or positioning a simple t-shirt as the epitome of edgy and cool. The goal is to make the consumer believe that owning this item will elevate their identity. But here's the kicker. Once they own it, that sense of elevation is often short-lived. It's no wonder that consumer culture has been likened to an addiction. Just like any addiction, it provides a temporary high followed by a crash, leading to an ever-increasing need for the next fix. So we keep buying, keep consuming, and keep scrolling through endless feeds, searching for that next hit of dopamine. Chapter 5, slowing down, the need for mindfulness and simplicity. This brings me to an idea of slowing down, a concept that seems almost radical in a world obsessed with speed, productivity, and constant consumption. Slowing down doesn't just mean reducing the pace of life. It's also about making conscious choices to consume less. Think more and find satisfaction in simplicity. But is that even possible in today's world? And what does that look like? Mindfulness in the context of consumption is the practice of being fully aware of our thoughts, feelings, and motivations when making purchasing decisions. It's about pausing to ask, do I really need this? Will this add more value to my life? Or is it just a fleeting desire? By practicing mindfulness, we can start to recognize the subtle cues that drive us to overconsume, whether it's the influence of social media, the allure of a flashy advertisement, or even the pressure to keep up with our peers. A study by Brown and Kaiser found that people who practice mindfulness reported lower levels of materialism and a greater sense of well-being. This suggests that being present and mindful, we can shift our focus away from extrinsic goals and towards intrinsic ones, ultimately finding more satisfaction in non-material aspects of life. But beyond mindfulness, there's also this need for simplicity. The minimalist movement, which has gained significant traction in recent years, is a response to the clutter and chaos of modern life. Minimalists advocate for reducing possessions to only what's essential and meaningful, arguing that this leads to a clearer mind and more intentional way of living. In a world where every corner is saturated with detail and information, simplicity offers a refreshing contrast. However, it's not just about owning fewer things. It's also about creating mental space. When we're constantly inundated with information and options, what psychologists call information overload, our cognitive resources are stretched thin. This in turn impairs our ability to make decisions, think creatively, and even focus. According to a study by Iyengar and Lepper, Having too many choices can lead to decision paralysis and decreased satisfaction with the decisions we do make. This phenomenon is particularly relevant in the digital age, where we're faced with an endless array of options for everything from what we watch on Netflix to which brand of toothpaste we buy. But the effects of slowing down go beyond improved decision making. There's something almost therapeutic about embracing simplicity and rejecting the idea that we need to be busy and consumed all the time. When we create space, both physically and mentally, we open ourselves up to deeper thinking, more meaningful experiences, and a sense of peace that's often missing in our frantic lives. It's as if the noise of overconsumption drowns out our inner voices, making it difficult to hear what we truly want and need. And slowing down then is an act of reclaiming that inner voice. Chapter 6, the cost of constant consumption. Do we like being busy or fear being still? In our society, being busy is almost a badge of honor. If you're not constantly on the go, it's easy to feel like you're not doing enough, achieving enough, or even being enough. But why is that? Do we really enjoy being busy, or are we afraid of the emptiness that comes with stillness? I've grappled with this as I navigate my role in marketing, where the pace is relentless and the downtime is scarce. The industry thrives on the next campaign, the next product launch, and the next viral trend. But I've noticed that when I do find a moment of stillness, there's an underlying sense of discomfort. It's as if slowing down and being present reveals a space that's too quiet, empty, and open for thoughts and feelings we'd rather not confront. Could it be that we overconsume, whether it's products or information or activities, because we're trying to fill a void? Philosopher Blaise Pascal once said, all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. It's a powerful statement that resonates deeply with the culture of overconsumption. By constantly keeping ourselves busy, by overloading on tasks, possessions, and digital content, we distract ourselves from deeper questions and emotions. But what if we embraced that emptiness? What if instead of fearing the quiet and we rather decided to lean into it? Perhaps then we'd realize that the constant need for more is less about the things we acquire and more about the connection we're missing with ourselves, others, the world around us. Conclusion: redefining our relationship with consumption. Reflecting on all of this, I find myself both challenged and inspired. As a marketer, I see the influence we have in shaping desires and driving consumption. But as an individual, I'm also aware of the cost of constantly chasing more. Perhaps the solution isn't to reject consumption altogether, but to approach it more thoughtfully, with an awareness of its impact on our environment, our minds, and our society. Overconsumption, whether of products, information, or even busyness, has led us to a point where everything feels saturated. The challenge now is to carve out spaces of stillness and simplicity, consume less, but more meaningfully, and reclaim our time, attention, and well-being. By doing so, we not only create a more sustainable future, but also reconnect with the things that truly matter.
Thank you, Ndumi. Up next, we have Ariella Scher, a local Cape Townian who is the social media manager for a leading makeup brand. Ariella's presentation today discusses the way that these beauty trends evolve and how this has changed from generation to generation, with her presentation titled From Eras to Viral Moments, the Evolution of Beauty Trends in the Digital Age.
Hi everyone. Today I'll be talking about a topic that has been a part of my life creatively and professionally, titled From Eras to Viral Moments, the Evolution of Beauty Trends in the Digital Age. But firstly, a little background about myself. I studied motion picture makeup back in 2018. For those who don't know what that is, this is the type of makeup that are used for films and editorials, using a mix of traditional beauty techniques and highly technical special effects techniques. I had a lot of fun creating gory stuff you see in horror films, the whimsical beauty you see in fantasy films, and enhancing a model's natural beauty in fashion editorials. Studying this course and working in the industry gave me a solid foundation in classic beauty makeup and the different styles from the different eras from working on period piece films. Nowadays, I work as a social media manager in the beauty industry. A lot of my job requires me to constantly keep up with the different beauty trends, and seeing the speed in which trends change now compared to when and what I studied has been quite a shift. In the past, each decade or era had its own specific makeup look that could be identified very easily. For example, we see pictures of our mothers with bright blue eyeshadow, bold pink lips, and pigmented blush that went straight into the hairlines, and we immediately know that picture is from the 80s. Another classic example of recognizing a look from a specific era is through recently made films such as The Great Gatsby. With this film, you see shots of women with thin brows, finger waves in the hair, and small red pout, and we immediately pick up that this is the look of the 1920s. But how did these makeup looks become the trends at the time without the use of digital presence? Well, these makeup looks were often molded after fashion icons and film stars of the time. The public would see their favorite celebrities in glossy magazine spreads or cult classic films, and these looks would stick around for decades, giving room for consumers and makeup artists to perfect these looks. There could even be multiple looks made popular in different eras that still generation specific. Twiggy and Brigitte Bardot are prime examples of fashion icons on the 1960s that molded the makeup aesthetics for that era, with Twiggy's doll-like eyes, pale nude lips, and Bardot's smoky silvery cat eye. Today is a completely different world in the fast-paced digital age with social media, especially TikTok, being integrated into everyday life. This has completely changed the rate in which trends go viral and how long they last. An influencer can post a new makeup look on TikTok, and within a matter of hours, it has taken over the beauty algorithm, with every beauty content creator or simply a consumer recreating the look. However, as quickly as this trend came about, it also quickly disappears. These trends could last weeks, days, or even hours, depending on the popularity and how easy and accessible it is to do. And as someone who is deep inside this world, it is quite dizzying seeing these revolving door trends come and go so quickly. For example, we ended the year with the clean girl aesthetic. This trend was all about clear, natural-looking skin, minimal eyeshadow and blush, and some slightly tinted lip gloss. This trend was basically created to slightly enhance natural features rather than cover up imperfections. As the new year approached, people started to speculate what the makeup trend of 2024 would be, and thus the mob wife aesthetic was created. The mob wife aesthetic channeled the old Hollywood glam with a bit of an edge. This included dark, smoky eyes, bold lips, and big, thick liner that was often seen in mafia movies. TikTok made a big thing about how clean girl was out, and this was the look that needed to be all over 2024. It consumed the beauty community. Every makeup reel was about the change and how to create this look with the best products. However, in a mere few weeks, the trend disappeared, and everyone had moved on to the next thing, and was never to be spoken about again. I find it super interesting how even consumers and creators are still under the impression that the trends can even last a few years these days, with this rapid trend just solidified how trends are not what they used to be. But why do these trends change so rapidly? There are three major factors that are due to social media and being in the digital age. Firstly, I feel like a lot of this is due to the short attention span that has been programmed into the later generations. Growing up with TikTok, content is consumed within just a few seconds, and then you can scroll on to the next reel with a completely different style, theme, and subject. This activity is highly addictive, as it gives a rush of dopamine with every new reel, but is also dangerously fleeting and feel the need to move on to something else to feel that rush again. I have become victim to this myself in creating content. One moment, I will decide on a trend for an upcoming new beauty brand launch, and the next moment, I see something on TikTok that will inspire me to go in a completely different direction. And even though this might not seem like such a bad thing, in order to create the best way to launch a new product with a timely trend, it can become quite chaotic actually creating the reel with new idea and information overload. Secondly, the digital age has given us effortless exposure to global cultural and microtrends, which before would primarily come from traveling the world and witnessing different cultures firsthand or seeing it on the big screen. This constant, rapid exposure to different aesthetics and communities make it easy to switch up styles and trends that come from different parts of the world. However, this might hold an advantage to the South African beauty community, even though South Africa does adopt quite a lot of American and Eurocentric trends. We now have access to them as they happen in real time, with compared to seeing them months later in films and magazines, when a trend in America or Europe have already passed and they have moved on to the next thing. And lastly, the social media platforms themselves. The algorithms are programmed to push out new, attention-grabbing content and reward content creators who push out constantly new, unique, eye-catching ideas with likes, followers, views, and shares, so they can build their personal and professional pages. The platforms do this to stay relevant, keep the younger generations using the apps in a doom scroll fashion. For example, even though there are an endless supply of reels of how to do a winged eyeliner by various different makeup artists, the Explore page on TikTok will rather show a beauty viewer either a brand new way of doing eyeliner with a never-seen-before technique, or someone doing the eyeliner in a bizarre way that will make the viewer watch the reel to the end to see the final result. And by this, I mean I have seen an influencer try to apply eyeliner with their feet, and best believe I watched that reel to the end to see how it turned out. All in all, these rapid trend changes and endless cycles of innovation can be a blessing and a curse. While it can be mentally draining in a work and personal capacity, I do acknowledge that it is a great way to encourage creativity and to foster a global connection that could have never been possible before. Thank you.
Thank you, Ariella. Kirti Kamal is up next with a personal presentation with a symbolic talk on the fight in our minds to overcome difficulty, self-doubt, and to live a life of truth and purpose. Kirti is a culinary art lecturer who blends hands-on experience with strategic insights to help shape and inspire future professionals in her industry.
The Bhagavad Gita, how a 5,000-year-old sacred Hindu text is still relevant today. The Bhagavad Gita is one of India's ancient written works and is derived from the epic poem, the Mahabharata. This still stands as the longest poem ever written, with over 200,000 verses. The whole story of the Bhagavad Gita takes place on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, upon which two families, the Pandavas and the Kauravas, are preparing for battle. The text itself focuses on a conversation between two characters, Krishna and Arjuna. The most interesting and often misunderstood aspect of the Bhagavad Gita is that it's entirely representational and highly symbolic. There is no actual battlefield or fight to be won. The entire text represents the battle that goes on in our minds. It is about understanding how we can overcome difficulty, self-doubt, and ultimately live a life of truth and purpose. Each character represents the following. Arjuna, us in our human form, with all our doubts and worries, habits. He represents you and I as we stand at the battlefield of life, facing all the different aspects of ourselves that prevent us from realizing our true nature. Krishna represents the higher self or the divine. The Pandavas, the great virtues within us. The Kauravas, the opposing forces within us. the chariot, our physical body, and the horses, our five senses that need to be guided by self so we can realize our true nature. The Bhagavad Gita is a map and a guidebook. It provides us a systematic overview of the territory of life, illustrates approaches to the summit with their benefits and pitfalls, offers recommendations, instructs us on what to pack and what to leave behind. It asks and answers the questions that you or I might ask. Questions not about philosophy or mysticism, but about how to live life effectively in a world of challenge and constant change. Whether from the perspective of an ancient yogi or a modern day practitioner, the Bhagavad Gita speaks to anyone who ever feels as though their mind is a battlefield. The principle of duty or dharma, chapter 2, verse 31. Here the Gita emphasizes dharma or duty, which is fulfilling one's responsibilities with dedication and integrity. Arjuna initially hesitates to fight in the battlefield, but Krishna reminds him of his role as a warrior and that he must act to fulfill his duty. Many individuals struggle with indecision and procrastination due to a fear of making mistakes or failing. The Gita's advice can inspire us to act with purpose, realizing that growth often comes through actively facing our responsibilities and fears, even if they involve challenges or risks. Equanimity and non-attachment, chapter 2, verse 47. The Gita emphasizes the importance of focusing on one's actions without attachment to outcomes. Krishna advises Arjuna to perform his duty without being consumed by the fear of failure or the lure of success. Today, this method works well for managing stress, as it encourages us to put forth our best effort without becoming overwhelmed by the outcome. Learning to separate our efforts from our outcomes can reduce performance anxiety. Embracing this notion can help in fields like work, education, and personal relationships, where there is often pressure to succeed. Building inner resilience, staying balanced through yoga and meditation, chapter 6, verse 6. The Gita speaks to the power of mastering one's mind through meditation, self-discipline, and yoga to achieve inner peace and resilience. The quote on the slide is from Swami Vivekananda, who often referred to the Gita in his sermons. He used the Gita to advocate for religious tolerance at the World's Parliament of Religions, where he outlined the fundamental principles of dharma. Practicing mindfulness and meditation, as suggested by the Gita, can be incredibly grounding in today's fast-paced, tech-saturated world. Building mental resilience through mindfulness helps individuals manage stress more effectively and keep a positive perspective through life's challenges. Balancing values and making ethical choices, chapter 18, verse 63. The Gita acknowledges that life involves complex situations and dilemmas. Krishna encourages Arjuna to think critically, understand his values, and make decisions that align with these principles. Ethical challenges are common in business, social, and personal areas. The teachings of the Gita encourage a mindful, values-driven approach, helping individuals make tough decisions with integrity and responsibility in the modern world. The Bhagavad Gita offers a timeless wisdom that though written thousands of years ago, still provides valuable tools for resilience, ethical living, and inner peace, all of which are highly relevant to the complexities of modern life.
Thank you, Kirti. Eugene Oliphant's presentation is up next. Eugene is eager to draw on his background in teaching to craft compelling content and campaigns that resonate with a wide audience. In this very personal talk titled Living with Anxiety, A Journey of Understanding and Growth, Eugene shares his experiences of navigating life with anxiety and how this shapes routines, relationships, and mindsets.
Hey guys, my name is Eugene Kuleko Oliphant, and my topic for my Make Life 2024 is living with anxiety. Now imagine waking up every single morning with an invisible heavy weight on your chest, one that doesn't necessarily just go away by listening to your favorite song, or you taking deep breaths, or you listening to your favorite motivational words from your favorite motivational speaker. But it's literally this lingering feeling that tends to stay with you throughout the day and shapes how you navigate spaces and how you see things.
Remember when you was younger, your mama used to call you and say, I'm gonna whoop you as soon as I get home from work? That feeling you get like an hour before she get home, imagine feeling like that all day. Except nobody called you and told you anything. You just worry constantly about everything. Be nice to your friends with anxiety. And don't text our phone talking about some, I need to talk to you, or we need to talk. We already worried because our mama finna whoop us when she get home from work. Just say what you gotta say.
You see that video? I like using it as reference to explain to people what it's like to live with anxiety. But for me, when I heard this presentation was going to be recorded, I got so happy and I got so excited. Presentations have always been difficult for me because of my anxiety. Like, I've always struggled when presentations are concerned. But for me also, anxiety is more than just a feeling or feeling nervous or feeling overwhelmed. It's a constant battle. It's a constant companion that's always with you wherever you go. It just doesn't go away. It makes the simplest task when you're mental. I'm not talking about pre-event jitters or that feeling of butterflies that you feel now and then. This is something deeper and bigger. It's a daily battle. Guys, so I'm going to talk about how I live with anxiety, what anxiety means to me. To be quite honest, it's very difficult to actually describe it or put it into words most of the time. It's very difficult for most people to actually just describe how they're feeling most of the time or put it into. One of the main symptoms that I experience on a daily basis is just my mind racing for no particular reason. You're constantly just being worried about absolutely no reason, and that's one of the most frightening things because you don't know how to shut it down at times. Your brain or your mind does not have downtime. It's constantly in the spiral going on and on and on and on, and there's no particular reason for it. You often find it hard to do your day-to-day activities, even ones that you enjoy, and constantly overthinking about bad experiences over and over and over and over again. Going back to the earlier point which I raised about your mind constantly racing. You go as far as avoiding social situations because you want to avoid everything that happens after the event or the social gathering that you have. Because often the biggest challenge for me, the biggest problem that I had before I found ways in which I could cope was I found it difficult to go out because often I'd come back and I'd constantly just be in a mind spiral thinking about what I said, what I did, and how everything happened last night. Did I say anything stupid? Did I say anything silly? And it all sounds very irrational, but at the time when it happens, it feels so real. Anxiety can also be physical. Sometimes you have physical symptoms, which includes fidgeting, shaking, and having shortness of breath at times. It happens especially at night. I find myself making a lot of excuses, cancelling plans, to avoid seeing people, skipping things that I enjoy because it was easier to hide than face my fears. I often find myself making excuses to avoid going out. Basically, I would literally isolate myself and avoid going out, especially in social settings or social situations, just to avoid the panic and fear and avoid being in a situation where I'm constantly having to assess the situation and overanalyze things, especially after the social setting or social situation that I found myself in. Hiding became more easier than having to face the panic. And I share with this because I want people to understand what it feels like to actually have anxiety, and for people out there to know that they're not alone. But before I started this presentation, I shared with you guys some stats that was published by the Wits University, where millions of people in South Africa have mental health problems. And I think just to shed some light on what most people are going through, and most people are afraid to talk about it. I'm going to share a few ways in which I manage my anxiety, which include being mindful, therapy, support systems, including your family, friends, and even co-workers. And lastly, also the most important one, which I like the most, is self-care, always being there for yourself. Share some of the few simple techniques that I use to actually just cope with my anxiety. Basically just know how to manage my anxiety. One of the two things that I try to do, especially just to be mindful, to focus on being mindful when my mind is literally just racing and I'm trying to stay or regain my focus. Those are the few exercises that I do. One of them is literally just trying to gain focus by focusing on a small area or small detail of the place that I find myself in. For example, if I'm in a restaurant and I see a nice painting, I'll focus on that for a few seconds, and that helps me regain focus. If I'm outside and I'm at the event, I'll just find a small detail like a plant. Just focusing on that plant for a few seconds helps me regain my focus and helps me break the cycle of anxious thoughts. The second tip that I do to regain my focus is literally just one simple exercise that we all know and have heard of. It's basically just breathing in and breathing out. Those breathing exercises also just help me, and what's amazing about those few exercises that you can do them wherever you are to regain your focus when you're being anxious. Therapy helped me come up with a few tools to open up to my family and friends, and that in turn helped them understand me better and know how I operate, especially when I'm in a social setting or social situation. But actually opening up to my friends and family has been one of the best decisions I ever made, because they now understand me and they know how to actually just address things or talk to me or know when I'm going through something. Often if you don't feel as judged, therapy is really amazing because it's great to have someone that listens without feeling like you being judged. Therapy has literally helped me manage my anxiety and also ways in which I can actually cope. Approach to managing my anxiety is literally self-care. Self-care is taking care of your mind and body. So how I do this is quite simple. It's literally just planning my day or scheduling my day in such a way that I give myself time to recharge. If, for example, I have an event happening around 6 o'clock, 2 hours to 3 hours prior to that, I'll ensure that I have time to recharge and focus on myself. Another simple approach that I take is quite simple. It's literally just taking a walk. This allows me to actually reset and allows me to also recharge while I'm taking a walk. I have to admit, this is one of my favorite exercises that I do. Also, I pair it with listening to my favorite music. This also helps me to unwind and actually relax a bit. What anxiety has taught me: empathy for myself and others. This has allowed me to be more kind to myself and show the same grace to others too. As often we don't know what people are hiding behind their beautiful smiles. I've learned how powerful and stronger I am. I've learned in the power of acceptance and allowing yourself to know that we are all flawed. Also, what I've learned is actually to celebrate those small wins that you have. I've also learned how to live with anxiety instead of against it. The most perfect balance that I found is actually coexisting with it. There's one thing I've learned, that there's nothing wrong with having anxiety. And also, most importantly, I like to share a message to everyone that has anxiety that you're not alone. And to those who don't have anxiety, I just wanted to share with you just a glimpse of what it feels like to have anxiety. I thank you guys for listening to my Mac Live 2024.
Thank you, Eugene, for that inspiring talk. Thembu Munzalele is up next, and Thembu has a goal to work as a digital planner and is passionate about using data-driven insights to develop creative and impactful strategies that resonate with audiences. Thembu's talk is titled, "Failure is not the opposite of success, it's a part of it."
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Thembu Munzalele, and this is my Mac Live. I've chosen for us to look at embracing the art of failure. Now, failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. I used to think that failure was something to avoid at all costs, a mark against my record, a sign that I wasn't good enough. But over the years, I've learned that failure isn't something to fear. It's something to embrace. Now, one of the most impactful failures happened, or rather my most impactful failures happened a few years ago. I was registered for a similar course to this one at a very different institution, and I thought I'd hit a jackpot when I landed a job in a different province as well. It seemed like the perfect opportunity to further my studies, earn a living in my dream city. But little did I know, I was actually about to face one of the toughest times basically of my life. Now, upon relocating, I discovered that my school didn't offer the course, or rather full-time in that province. Now forcing me to switch to online studies. I thought it would be manageable, but the pressure of work and studies took its toll on me. My performance suffered, and eventually I had to deregister from the actual course. To make matters worse, I lost my job soon after. Now, in that moment, I felt like a complete failure. I often hear people say, "No weapon formed against me shall prosper." Now, I'm afraid in that era of my life, the weapons were prospering. Now, however, that dark period actually turned out to be a blessing in disguise, to be honest, because a few weeks later, an old colleague / friend called me, unaware of my struggles, of course, and he had become a manager at the company he was working at, or rather the organization. So he offered me an amazing opportunity at his new organization. Now, that's how I actually discovered Red and Yellow, and I decided to take a second chance. Now, coming back to it, looking back at it, that failure was actually a defining moment in my life. It taught me resilience in the face of adversity, the importance of adaptability, and obviously flexibility, that sometimes setbacks can lead to better opportunities. And that experience on its own showed me that failure isn't the end. It's often a stepping stone to success. Now, I learned to reframe my mindset and embrace challenges as opportunities for obviously growth. Now, today, I want to challenge the stigma around failure and show basically how it can actually drive growth, spark innovation, and ultimately lead to success. Now, why are we afraid of failure? Think about it. We're taught from a young age to aim for success, to get things right, to avoid mistakes at all costs. Society places high expectations on us, and failure is often seen as something to hide. Psychologically, this creates pressure. We become afraid to take risks, to follow our passions, to try something new. We fear that failing will mean we're not good enough. How many of us in this room have held ourselves back because of this fear? Maybe you didn't apply for that dream job. You didn't pitch that unique idea that you had, or avoided something that you really wanted to try just in case you didn't succeed. The fear of failure is so powerful that it stops us from even starting. But what if we looked at failures differently? Let's think about some famous failures, shall we? The first one being J.K. Rowling. She was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter finally found a home. Now, Thomas Edison, on the other hand, he tried over 10,000 times before successfully creating the light bulb. And Steve Jobs, Mr. iPhone himself. Now, he was fired from Apple, his own company, returned to lead it to become one of the world's most successful brands. Now, these aren't just stories. They're examples of how failure can be a powerful teacher. So what are the benefits of failure? You may be asking yourself. For one, it's a catalyst for learning and improvement, that much I've seen. Every failure teaches us something valuable, something that we can use to grow. Then there's resilience and adaptability. Now, facing failure means building mental strength and learning to adapt when things don't go our way. I mean, we all want things to go our way. I want things to go my way, oftentimes. Now, innovation and creativity often thrive after failure. Now, when we are forced to find a new approach, we think outside of the box. Failure challenges us to explore what we haven't tried yet, sparking new ideas. Finally, it also brings humility and empathy. It reminds us that everyone struggles. I struggle, you struggle, we all struggle. And it makes us more compassionate towards others' journeys. So how can we begin to embrace failure? Firstly, you need to reframe it. Instead of seeing failure as the end, See it as part of the journey. It's a stepping stone, not a roadblock. Secondly, self-compassion. Practice self-compassion. When we fail, we often are our own worst critics. Instead, let's try treating ourselves with the same kindness we offer a friend who is struggling. Again, seek constructive feedback. It's very important. Every bit of criticism, every piece of advice helps us understand where we can improve. And finally, celebrate the small wins. Each small step forward, each piece of progress is worth acknowledging. And this is something that a lot of people actually struggle with. Now, this helps us build confidence and stay motivated, even when things are obviously not going our way or things get tough. Now, to wrap up, failure isn't something to hide from. It's something to embrace. Now, when we stop fearing failure, we open up the possibility for new, or rather true growth and success. So here's my challenge to you. Next time you're faced with an opportunity that scares you, one where failure is a real possibility, take it. Embrace the chance to learn, to grow, and to become a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. The art of failure isn't about being perfect. It's about being brave, being resilient, being willing to learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thembu. Our next presentation is from Fazana Daji, a committed mother of two beautiful girls who is deeply passionate about her faith and the work she does with her local church. Her talk today is titled From Darkness to Light, a Journey of Faith, Resilience and Hope.
Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. I am so thrilled to be here with you today. My name is Fazana Daji, and I am a proud MEC student and an even prouder mother of two. They say juggling parenting and studies is like trying to play chess at a rock concert. Challenging, noisy, and certainly not for the faint-hearted. Before we begin, I'd like to offer a quick trigger warning. I will be discussing topics related to suicide and addiction. If these are difficult subjects for you, please take care of yourself and feel free to step out if needed. Today, I'm here to talk about something close to my heart, which I've titled From Darkness to Light, a Journey of Faith, Resilience, and Hope. Imagine a young girl facing what seemed like insurmountable challenges, darkness all around her. Yet somehow, she found the strength to keep moving forward. That's the essence of resilience. But where does that strength come from? For me, it was faith. A belief in something greater, and at times, simply the belief in myself when all else seemed lost. Hand in hand with faith came self-belief and perseverance. I learned that the first step to overcoming any struggle is believing that you can. As I grew, so did my roles in life. Embracing new roles like becoming a mother brought a newfound sense of purpose and joy. So let's embark on this journey together, discovering how even the darkest moments can lead us to the brightest destinations. The power of resilience and hope. Resilience isn't just about enduring hardships. It's about transforming those challenges into sources of strength and hope. Even in the darkest moments, there is always a path forward. Growing up in a home overshadowed by addiction and loss, I faced immense challenges at a young age. By the time I was 14, I was grappling with a mother struggling with addiction and a father lost to depression and suicide. The weight of these experiences shaped my decisions, leading me down some difficult paths. In 2015, we lost my brother to the same struggles, and our world changed once again. To give you a sense of the impact, I was incredibly close to both my father and my brother. Losing them felt like something I would never be able to overcome. But through it all, I held on to the belief that there must be light at the end of the tunnel. Psalms 34 verse 18 reminds us that feeling broken is an opportunity for healing, and I had to heal deeply. Though parts of my past remain blurred in my memory, I see this as a blessing because this has allowed me to focus on the present and the future. The role of faith in transformation. Faith in God and in oneself can be a powerful catalyst for transformation. It's about believing that change is possible and that you are never alone in your journey. For me, faith was the anchor that held me steady in turbulent times. Even when I couldn't see it, I could certainly feel it in my heart. Faith transformed me, especially through the words of Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. These words fueled my journey of forgiveness for both myself and others, and it helped me heal from my past. The importance of self-belief and perseverance. Self-belief and perseverance are crucial in overcoming personal struggles and achieving success. Believing in yourself is often the first step towards realizing your potential. Philippians 4:13 reinforces this, reminding us of the inner strength and faith and how it can help us conquer any challenge. The struggles I faced became the driving force to strive for better, steering me away from destructive habits and pushing me to work hard. My faith in God, coupled with self-belief, paved the way for a brighter future. Finding purpose and joy in new roles. One of the greatest joys in my life right now is being a mother. Parenthood has brought a new sense of purpose and fulfillment, offering a fresh perspective on life's meaning and beauty. I always knew I wanted to be a mother, but I never realized how pivotal this role would be in my journey of resilience, hope, faith, transformation, and self-belief. Proverbs 31:25 speaks to the strength and joy found in embracing new roles with grace. Motherhood has transformed my outlook on life. Even in the darkest times, such as my divorce, when I felt unworthy and struggled with thoughts of suicide myself, the love and presence of my children reignited my resilience, hope, faith, and self-belief. My children, along with my faith in Jesus, that saved my life. I want to offer you some hope and encouragement. Even when life feels overwhelming, transformation is always possible. Everyone's journey is unique, but faith, perseverance, and hope are universal tools for overcoming struggles. Life's journey often feels like navigating a stormy sea, where every wave seems to push us further from shore. But here's the truth. No matter how rough the waters, there is always a way through. Faith and resilience are like a lighthouse guiding us through the darkest moments, showing us that there's always hope, even when we can't see it ourselves. Remember, every struggle you face is not a dead end, but a detour leading to a brighter path. Just as I found my way from darkness to light, you too have the strength within you to overcome your challenges. It might not be easy, and it might not happen overnight, but with faith as your compass and resilience as your sail, you can navigate towards a future full of promise and potential. So hold on to hope, believe in your inner strength, and trust that each day is a step towards a new beginning. No storm lasts forever, and every dawn brings a fresh chance to embrace the life that you are meant to live. If I can find my way from the shadows into the light, then so can you. Your story is still unfolding, and its greatest chapters are yet to be written. You are a living testament, and one day I hope that you'll share your story and inspire others to find their own light. If you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide, please reach out for help. The Suicide Crisis Helpline is available 24/7 at 0800 567 567. If you're battling addiction, consider contacting Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous. There's absolutely no shame in seeking help. In fact, it's one of the bravest things that you can do. Remember, you are not alone in this journey, and there is always support available when you need it most. You are important. You have value. You are cherished, and God is always by your side. You are not alone on this journey. I want to leave you with this verse today. It's one of my favorite verses. I absolutely love this verse because it has really, really inspired me on my journey. And it comes from Isaiah 60, chapter 1. And it says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." I pray for you today, and I pray that this has encouraged you, because remember, your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for that, Fazana. Our final presentation is from a student who shows great exuberance and interest in the field of marketing and heads up the marketing team at a civil engineering group. Shalona Maharaj will share her 6 guiding principles and unveils practical strategies to embrace change and adapt effectively. Her talk is titled Navigating Change Successfully.
But picture this, okay? You wake up 10 years from now and you are in the exact same bed that you went to bed in. You have the exact same house, you got the exact same routine, and you get ready for that exact same job within that same organization. Disappointed, right? Of course, because as humans, when we picture ourselves in the future, we see ourselves as progressed. We want to see something different. We want to see something changed. But that's only going to happen is when you start accepting change from now. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present to you the seasons of change. Change is the one constant in our life, and just when we feel like we're settled, life just nudges us towards the unknown. Instead of fearing change, what if we welcomed change as an invitation to grow and redefine ourselves? Picture life as a series of seasons, with each one with its unique beauty and purpose. Well, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Shilona Muraj. It's going to be based on 6 rules in making yourself successful by accepting change. Each rule is going to be a journey that I have been on with my 2 mentors. No one has shared these 6 rules with me, so these aren't written in some stone and they weren't passed down to me. These are just notes and rules that I have picked up through my journey. As we all know, change is the only constant, okay? So even the universe itself teaches us about change. I would like to touch on the 4 seasons. As we all know, when we start the year, everything is summery and thrives, and the skies are blue, the trees are green, the fruits are blooming. And then comes autumn, with that brings the shift as the trees shed their leaves, making their way for new possibilities. And then follows winter, which is harsh, right? I mean, that's when we see the trees at their worst. They have no leaves, they are just looked withered and they are weak. But every season is essential for our development. Rather than fearing the cold and the uncertain winters, let us embrace each phase, knowing they all contribute to our journey. So today, let's explore and navigate the change successfully by the 6 guiding rules until we land ourselves with the beautiful spring, which is known as the rebirth and embracing renewal. Which brings me to rule number 1: accept yourself. You know, when I told my mentors about my presentation and how they were the influence in my journey, the one advice I was given by one of them is, Shilona, it is your work. You choose something that you believe in. And that's the only way you're going to be able to present the best TED talk without having notes in front of you, but just something that you believe in that represents you. And that's when I said, okay, wow, that actually makes sense. It made me reflect on their journey through every title change that they had they remained constant to who they were as their core belief, whether they became the next phase in their life, but their cause and their values remained true to themselves. So, rule number one, embrace your unique self and flaws, finding the core you. Change is life's only constant, affecting everyone, regardless of age or experience. Embracing change requires to be fearless. True growth comes from stepping out of your comfort zone. This principle isn't just a theory, but it has been inspired by the two very special people in my life, the two leaders that I look up to, and my two mentors. The two men behind my six guiding rules of change, Martin Mchaltse and Segun Narasimulu. They view change as something to tackle and not to avoid, by leaving behind their stable careers to launch their own venture. Segun Narasimulu, at the tender age of 31, and Martin Mchaltse, at 33, ventured into a whole new game. They left behind a guaranteed monthly salary to start a business in Martin's garage, knowing that there would be no salary for the first month, second month, or third month to follow, but bills still needed to be paid. They both were married, they both had responsibilities to their wife. But fueled by determination, they took a chance and nurtured their dream, and ultimately gave it wings. They applied for various tenders and tried to get work, but months after months they were disappointed. Fast forward to a few months, hey, they received their first appointment and it was successfully secured. And that came through being fearless and accepting the change that they had took. The next rule in the journey was explore opportunities, recognizing and seizing opportunities. An opportunity will never come to your door knocking and saying, "Hi, I'm here. Would you like to take me?" No. No matter where you are in life, always remember you have never arrived. There is so much that new opportunities are worth exploring. Ambition isn't just about reaching a single destination, it's about staying curious, adaptable for what comes next. Take our founding directors, for example, Segun Narasimha and Martin Mchaltse. They saw an opportunity where others might have only seen risk. Despite having established careers, they dared to step into the uncharted territory by founding a company. This wasn't just a leap of faith, this was a recognition and a potential to create something meaningful and uniquely theirs. Imagine living in the 90s and being able to open up your own organization. It was a struggle. It was, because we all know the history behind South Africa, but they dared to do it, and they did. Taking our founding directors, they saw an opportunity where others might have only seen risk. But if we have to fast forward to where they currently are, I mean, they're now giving staff bonuses, whereas in 24 years ago, they couldn't even pay themselves. From working off in a garage office, they now own properties with no staff and just Martin and Segun trying to get work. They now have over 80 employees, and that too across South Africa. And now, as we transition from the vibrant summer growth and the opportunity to autumn, I mean, all this time we were talking about summer and the blue skies and how amazing it is. It's also, we need to be reminded that everything may seem sunny and bright at first, but change often comes with its own challenges, right? Acknowledging that it's impossible to please everyone in the world, and not everyone will love what you do or how you do it. So there comes rule number four, accepting criticism. With that being said, it's also important to know that you cannot please everyone. And if you do, you probably would want to take Steve Jobs' words, because that was something that was passed down to me. And when they started the company, trust me, they all were engineers. They might have done a few courses and qualifications in business management, but truth is, their passion was engineering. And then all of a sudden, your company is growing. You are now directors of this organization and you have employees with multiple personalities. And then you're setting company rules and policies. The truth is, someone's gonna get shot, someone's not gonna be happy. But then again, criticism is about learning. We all have faults, but learning is the true superpower that is found in criticism. It's it's gonna be there. You cannot please everyone in the world. Someone is gonna find a fault in what you do. There might be a fault in the way I present right now. But the truth is, what I've been told and what I have learned over the years from Xavier and Martin is find humor in it, recognize it, and then learn from it, because that's how you accept criticism. Rule number 6. Now, who likes to fail? I mean, I don't. I hate to fail. But truth is, it's gonna be there whether we like it or not. At some point in your career, we will face something that will put us down in life. In my close circle of friends and network, they would tell you when I fail, I am a complete mess. I cry, I wallow in self pity, feeling sorry for myself, I'm all crumbled. But eventually comes a time to shake it off and dust myself off and rise like a phoenix from the ashes. So, where did I learn this from? I learned it from these two inspiring individuals. Stephen and Martin have faced various challenges and setbacks that they faced in their career, be it financial, administrative, or just business related. They faced every storm and every challenge head on from day one. They were not the type of individuals to run away from it. You know, there was times where financial hit us really hard, and when I worked in the head office, I could see the struggle, I could see the pain, but they carried the burden on their shoulders and they faced it. And 24 years later, look at us now. We had a change of management just after COVID. And the truth is, they could have let the uncertainty or the fear take over, but instead, they chose to change and adapt. And through all the setbacks that was faced, they regrouped, they focused, and they came up with a new strategy in place. The board of directors did some house cleaning, house tidying up. They implemented new strategies. They gave the staff new paths to grow. Everyone's voices were heard and mattered. And through this experience, I learned that you got to change, adapt, and innovate if you want to stay ahead of the game. You're going to have times where you're going to fall. You're going to have times where your knees are going to feel like they cut off. But that's when you just stand and you keep on pushing and you go in further and you go in harder and stronger. And with that mindset, today, McCarlton Narasimhan and Associates is definitely stronger than yesterday. We come into the last stage, which is embracing renewal. Into spring, it's the time of called rebirth and renewal. The trees that stood bare once upon a time are about to bloom, and life returns to full force and making a circle. The season symbolizes the beauty of transformation and the fresh opportunities that lie ahead. Just as nature revives, we too can rise from our challenges, stronger and more vibrant. So, if I have to tell you, constant versus a little change every year, can you see the difference? If you had to stay the same person you was today, tomorrow, and the day after, there will be no progression. But if you could accept 3 changes every year, in a total of 4 years, you would have had a progression of 12 changes to where you were 4 years ago. Coming back to our two founding directors, let's just look back and say they started off as students, then they became professional registered engineers. They were known as directors, and then they both were managing directors. So they both had their terms in managing directors. Martin first, and then handed over to Sedgwick. And as the management team grew, and is continuing growing, while Segri Narasimha still holds the title of Managing Director. But somehow we now refer to both of them as the founding directors. As the transition happens, they have lit the way for future generations to join this change. Just as two normal employees that left their current jobs to start something new and fresh. 24 years later, these directors carry this flame. As the management on the organogram continued to grow, it's proof that the change that was made 24 years ago has not only affected their lives, but also the 80 employees that have joined this organization and the future employees that are about to come. As we look forward into embracing the new change, a new change is going to dawn upon us next year, which we're going to have to adapt to once again. We are making way for our 25th anniversary in the organization. What does this change bring? It's going to bring something new, something fresh, maybe a brand refresh, maybe letting go of our colors, accepting something new. Once again, it's all about change. And once we speak about change, it's something that I also have to accept. And it's one of the hardest for me. It's because as the transition happens, we got to start to embrace renewal. And as the new dawn is set to come within our organization, and as powerful and as inspiring it will be, it's when I will have to watch my two mentors take on the last phase of their change and the last phase of their careers, which will be watching my mentors accept retirement. It's going to be hard and it's going to be painful. But with that, it all comes down to accepting change. Because the truth is, if they don't, and if that cycle just remains at where they are, and M&A is just going to be constant. So with that comes accepting change. And I leave you with that, ladies and gentlemen. Accepting change as the 6 guiding rules of change. Thank you.
Thank you, Shalona. And thank you to all of those that are watching. And my final thank you and wishes are to you, this part-time group of ADMAC students of 2023. Thanks for sharing the knowledge and the great times we've had together and all those lessons that we've shared.